Welcome to Lyrics That Do the Talking with your host, Ryan Kelly Berkowitz. That is my real name. Ryan, like the boy, Kelly, another Irish sounding last name, Berkowitz, like the serial killer, no relation. This is a show primarily about lyrics. I will talk about music and I'll talk about singing, but I'm really going to focus on the majesty of songs that speak specifically to me. A little bit about me. I'm a singer, songwriter, performer, actor, teacher. When I say I'm a performer, I do a lot of solo performing, breaking the fourth wall, and I lean heavily on the majesty of a particular lyric. When lyrics are good, they're like Velcro. They stick. Also, they're removable from a song and you can make them into a monologue and they're just as beautiful. Also, if it's a pop tune, I usually describe a good lyric as a 3-act play. You have a beautiful arc, there's a beginning, middle, and end. This is why I'm doing this show. I can go on and on about lyrics that I love. So that's a little bit about me, whose perspective you're listening to. Take it with a grain of salt. Things that you won't get on this show. No sexy dancing girls, no crazy pyrotechnics, no special effects. This is an effectless, very throwbacky type kind of talky thing. So if you have no attention span, click away. Click away. Now that I've managed your expectations, I'd like to go into my first pick. This song is called I'm Going to Go Back There Someday, introduced in the Muppet movie by David Goelz, who plays Gonzo, and written by the incomparable Paul Williams and Kenneth Ascher. Before I give you the lyric of the whole song, I think I want to start with, maybe set a precedent for this show, and just go to the line or the series of lines that I like the most. An extremely strong line that I've never heard the likes of. There's not a word yet for old friends who just met. Wow. Another one that sticks out. We're flying, not walking on featherless wings. It's a really good lyric. I'm going to do a lot of crying on this show because the lyric is just right there. We can hold on to love like invisible strings. I have been trying to recreate the essence of that line for my entire songwriting career, and I can't. All I can do is plagiarize it, which that's not good to do. I'm actually going to read the lyrics. I'm not reading them because they're not memorized. I just don't want to mess them up in any way. So I'm going to read the lyrics, and I'm going to give you some recommendations about how to memorize lyrics if you are a singer. You should know your lyrics like as if you were going to be in some sort of natural disaster, mudslide, hailstorm, tsunami. Like, that's how well you need to know your lyrics, because it's a well-known fact when you're on stage, you're only going to perform to about 80% of your prowess, right? So you need to be at like 5,000% at rehearsal. So your 80% is, I would say, well over 100%. I think you understand what I mean. I'm not a mathy person by any means of the word. So I'm going to go back there someday. All right. I am the town crier, and I don't mean the town gossip. I mean, I'm very predisposed to crying. It's a blessing and a curse when you can access your emotional well. And I remember I had one specific acting teacher who said, you know, as you get older, you won't have to do too much work to get there. And I was like, really? She said, yeah, you know, with life experience comes this immediacy, especially with really good text. All right, so this looks familiar, vaguely familiar, almost unreal yet. It's too soon to feel yet. Close to my soul, and yet so far away. I'm going to go back there someday. Sun rises, night falls, sometimes the sky calls. Is that a song there? And do I belong there? I've never been there, but I know the way. I'm going to go back there someday. Come and go with me. It's more fun to share. We'll both be completely at home in midair. We're flying, not walking, on featherless wings. We can hold on to love like invisible strings. There's not a word yet for old friends who've just met. Part heaven, part space, or have I found my place? You can just visit, but I plan to stay. I'm going to go back there someday. I'm going to go back there someday. So let's jump into, why this song is great. There are too many things. There are too many things to talk about. Number one, how beautifully this goes with Gonzo's muppet. No one knows what he is. He's an unidentified species, and he doesn't feel like he belongs, and it may be that his family is not of this world. And the first time I remember hearing this tune was in the first Muppet movie, although it makes a huge appearance in Gonzo's movie. And, you know, most people would think of the Muppet song, The Rainbow Connection, or It's Not Easy Being Green, but this is sort of a lesser sung, I think lesser known song. This is not a hit, and I don't understand really why it's not a hit, because it's just perfect. Perfect. Okay, so this looks familiar, vaguely familiar. Normally I don't like the repetition of a word that's not in the hook, but I don't mind that at all. It's a reinforcement of some sort of deja vu that he's having gazing up at the sky. It's quite nice. Where did it go? Sorry. Almost unreal yet. It's too soon to feel yet. Okay, so he's looking up at the sky, and I think maybe internalizing, I might have a connection. I might have a connection that I never felt before. And is it real? Am I dreaming? Because I've always felt maybe a little lonely, maybe a little singular. Maybe there's no one else that looks like me. Sometimes when there's no one else that looks like you, you feel like, did I get here by mistake? Why am I alone? Why am I so singular? Yeah. So something about what he's looking at is pulling him in a way that I don't think it's ever has before, or he's never internalized it this way before. Almost unreal yet, too soon to feel yet. Brilliant. This looks familiar, vaguely familiar, and then they repeat, almost unreal yet. It's too soon to feel yet. That's great. If you're going to repeat one word at the end of the first stanza, you're going to repeat 2 words at the end of the first stanza. It's great. Close to my soul, yet so far away. A lot of brilliant lyrics do so close, and yet so far, you know. But this is something that he feels extremely close to, yet so far away. That's really agonizing when something is so close to your skin and yet completely out of your reach. It's very ironic. It's very beautiful. It's paradox. It's just lovely. Close to my soul and yet so far away. I'm going to go back there someday. So he's got such a feeling about this place that might not be real, yet he knows that he was there. Sort of reminds me of the theme in Somewhere in Time when Christopher Reeve's character sees the portrait and he's pulled to it like, what? Why am I so... What is this? I've never been here before. I don't know this girl. This is like... I don't know. I know that I belong there and I know that I've been there, but I know that I never have. But maybe I have. Maybe in another lifetime. Maybe something in my DNA, something in my soul, something in my spirit. So now we're getting into more specifically his backstory with the second stanza, second verse. Sun rises, night falls. Sometimes the sky calls. So, okay, so instead of repeating that first word that they did in the first stanza, that Ascher and Williams did in the first stanza, familiar, now they're rhyming it, okay? Falls, calls. Night falls, sometimes the sky calls. Is that a song there? And do I belong there? So unbelievably poetic and meta to discuss the framework of what makes a song inside a lyric. Because of the rhyme. Sun rises, night falls, sometimes the sky calls. Or also it could mean, is that beautiful sound that I'm hearing a song sent for me? Another thing in from Rainbow Connection, have you been half asleep? Have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is it the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. There's a lot of magic and mystery and celestial things at play that are pulling the Muppets, leading the Muppets, guiding the Muppets. I mean, because the Muppets are, I think, some of the most human characters that we have. Such great role models. Okay, so sun rises, night falls, sometimes the sky calls. Is that a song there, and do I belong there? I've never been there. God. But I know the way. I'm going to go back there someday. Beautiful hook line at the end of each verse. A lot of people don't do that anymore. That's the hook line. Wow. I've never been there, but I know the way. I know that the majority of you watching this have had that feeling. And when writers can articulate things that you've felt as a listener it is so powerful because you feel like you've been heard, and you feel like you've been seen, and you feel like someone knows you. This is something I would say that falls under a term that I don't know if I've coined it, that I like to refer to as specific universality. Extremely spot on writing that appeals to the masses. Very difficult to do that, to resonate with so many people and be so specific at the same time. It's another beautiful dichotomy that really good song lyrics can capture. I've never been there, but I know the way. I'm going to go back there someday. I missed one rhyme here. Is that a song there? And do I belong there? So he's listening to this beautiful thing calling him, and just a lovely rhyme that it doesn't even, it gets by you. It doesn't really get sing-songy because it's so perfectly placed. It's a true rhyme, song and belong. Gorgeous. That's another thing. When a lyric is really fantastic, no other word will go in that place, right? And the rhyme won't seem tired or lazy or oversung. It will hit you like it's the first time every time. The rhyme won't stick out because it's a monologue. It's a piece. It's talking about something active, something that's actually happening to this Muppet in real time. Beautiful. I've never been there, but I know the way. I'm going to go back there someday. Okay, so he goes from the general in the first stanza to his backstory in the second stanza. This is how I'm internalizing it. Now, in the release, he makes it about not just him, which is such a great choice by Williams and Ascher. And so typical of what the Muppets would do in teaching. Come with me. Let me share. I'm gonna show it to you. I'm not gonna go by myself. You can take the ride too, right? This is a journey that's not just for me. I'm so over the moon about it that I need to share it. Come and go with me. It's more fun to share. We'll both be completely at home in midair. For those of you that know Gonzo's character, he's like a daredevil. He's like an Evel Knievel kind of a character, constantly flinging himself off of things, constantly putting himself in danger, kind of likes it. And this, again, is extremely indicative of that part of Gonzo, that he likes to just be flying by the seat of his Gonzo nose. Beautiful. Very specific to the character. Okay, so here's my favorite part. We're flying, not walking, on featherless wings. There's so much in there. There's so much imagery in there. It's like, it's so overwhelming. First of all, he's in space, so he's flying, quite literally, right? Or in his head, he's taking the journey. Maybe he's not flying yet, but in his head, he's going, he's there. We're flying, not walking, again, very indicative of Gonzo, maybe more of the air than of the earth, and maybe more fiery. We're flying, not walking, on featherless wings. We don't need wings. We are of the air. We are of space. We are of this celestial, otherworldly place. I am of this place. Wings to me are the most powerful image. I've always been obsessed with wanting to fly. Not on an airplane, just like wanting to be human and to have bird wings, you know. And to do this without the wings, on featherless wings, it's even stronger. Because whatever this is, whoever you are, whoever you're identifying with out there in that place, you have this anti-gravity thing already about you. And you have a different way of, you know, traveling. So powerful. Whew. We're flying, not walking, on featherless wings. We can hold on to love like invisible strings. All right. Featherless wings and invisible strings. And not only is the rhyme just so brilliant, but because they made the wings featherless, they had to make the strings invisible, right? Just stunning writing. It's like, of course, that's what has to be there. But I wonder how long it took them. I wonder if it just hit them in the face. Oh, this has to be this because it has to line up, you know, it has to relate back to each other. This thing that it's not there because we don't need it, because we're so of it and it's so completely one with us that we're bursting with flight and love without any aids. We can hold on to love. So the love, so just like the flying, not walking, to me the love relates back to the flying, because the flying is almost like when you're in a show and you're beyond the dialogue and you sing and dance. To me, flying is sort of, I guess, the equivalent of the musical theater sing and dance thing taking over. I'm not walking anymore, I'm flying. Wow. So we can hold on to love. Love is the thing that's making us lift off, that's making us airborne, that's giving us flight. You know, just beautiful. When so many love lift us up where we belong, on the wings of love. You would think that that's a very overdone premise, but the way that they do it, I'd never heard it before. You know, I heard the tune, I think the Muppet movie was in the 70s. Never heard these words in this order before, so incisive. I had the great honor of auditioning for Paul Simon, and he didn't say this at my audition when I was much younger, but I know that he has some kind of a quote, I'm paraphrasing. Everything has already been said before with terms to lyrics, with regards to lyrics. You have to figure out a new way to say it. That's your responsibility as a writer. We've said it all before. We've heard it all before. How are you going to turn it? How are you going to hook me or them? That's the artistry, right? So when I talk about something that's tired or lazy, I've heard that before. Not only have I heard what you're saying, but I've heard how you're saying it. Back to the drawing board. And I would tell myself the same thing. I mean, there's plenty of tunes that I've written, even like recently, like I'm, yeah, no good. You know, you have to, sometimes the muse is there and you can't put it back, and it's, you know, you're up until 5 a.m. and it's just falling out of you, and it's great. There's a golden hour when your sort of internal editor goes away. It's wonderful. And things fall out of. Paul McCartney talks about this when he wrote, when he wrote the melody for Yesterday. He said it fell out of the sky. It was given to him, and he had to go around to all of these artists and, you know, people that he knew and say, did I steal this from you? Is this mine? Because it just came to me. But it's the same way with words. When the words come, it's sort of like you are in the room and you go, thank you. Where did that? Who was that? Why? What a gift. What a gift. Right. So I'm just talking about I have no idea how long it took them to pen, we're flying, not walking, on featherless wings. We can hold on to love like invisible strings. And even though it's, I'm forgetting like or as the simile and the metaphor, even though it's not, because they'll often say don't simile or metaphor your stuff. It's stronger if like we're holding on to love's invisible strings. It's okay. It's fine. I don't care. Because the first thing they did do, very, very active, we're flying, not walking on feathers. It's brilliant. I don't care that there's the like or as there. It's just as strong to me. It's the most beautiful 4 lines. I'll often say that in when I'm presenting in this series. I'll say, well, I said that last time, but I'm saying it again this time. Beautiful. Okay. And then my next favorite line, there's not a word yet for old friends who've just met. And I had a whole conversation with a brilliant multi-instrumentalist, singer, writer, Dave. What's going on? He quoted the lyric to me, and he's like, the tune from, and I was like, yes, I think the same exact thought in my head all the time. There's not a word yet for old friends who've just met, and there's still not. You can say deja vu, but that's not exactly right. You could say, oh, this is kismet, but again, that's not exactly right. You could say something is serendipitous, but no, there is not, in the English language anyway, please enlighten me if there is. There is not a word yet for old friends who've just met. Powerful. Powerful. How close he feels to whatever he's going to up there. He's been there. He knows the people. And he wants you to come with. It also reminds me so much of, again, an alien coming to Earth, E.T. You know, you have these brilliant directors and collaborators that create these creatures who are so fascinated with this new place. They want to stay, but it's not their home. You know, as we all know, E.T. bonds with Elliot, but he gets very, very weak. And Gonzo, although he doesn't seem physically weak, and he's such a daredevil, and he's always putting himself in harm's way, something about him is emotionally sad. He's so sad, and it just could be that he hasn't seen anybody else like him. You know, we always say, like, in order to see ourselves doing the thing, I have to see somebody that looks like me, or I have to see someone, you know, that reminds me of me, or I have to see another female, or for a boy would have to see another boy. You know, it's got to be, has to be relatable. It has to come home to me. So when you first see someone that's like you, doing something that you like to do, that maybe no one else does, you go, I'm not, you know, like the redheaded stepchild. I belong. There's not a word yet for old friends who've just met. Part heaven, part space. Or have I found my place? Wow. Heaven, whether or not you believe in it, and space, you know, which is a fact. I often, not even knowing if I believe, but things that I think can be heavenly, to me, they are sort of in the same realm. Up, always up. And the idea of heaven, even if you're not believing in it as, you know, part of religion, I'm not going to go there right now. But the heaven is like your nirvana, you know, of another religion, your perfect place. So heaven, part space, where he thinks he belongs. So his earth is in space, right? Part heaven, part space. Or have I found my place? That's great. That's great. It's like when you finally can declare your major, or you finally know what job it is that you love and that you'll never work a day in your life, or you find the person, that you're supposed to be with, or you find an instrument that you want to play, or you find a passion that stirs your soul. It's like, have I found my place? Part heaven, part space. You can just visit, but I plan to stay. I'm going to go back there someday. Right. So this person he's taking with him, again, it's reminding me of E.T. at the end when E.T. says to Elliot, "Come." And Elliot says, "Stay." So we're Muppets, so we're sharing. You can just visit. It's fine. Come with me and visit and see my world and see what's stirring me and see the thing that I've always been pulling me, that I've always known is there. But I'm going to stay because this is where I belong. I'm going to go back there someday. Maybe he was there in another life. Maybe he fell here. Maybe he needed to bring some joy, or maybe he needed to add whatever we were missing from this place. And then they repeat the line, I'm going to go back there someday. So let's just read the whole tune again, top to toe. This looks familiar, vaguely familiar, almost unreal yet. It's too soon to feel yet. Close to my soul, and yet so far away. I'm going to go back there someday. Sun rises, night falls, sometimes the sky calls. Is that a song there? And do I belong there? I've never been there, but I know the way. I'm going to go back there someday. Come and go with me. It's more fun to share. We'll both be completely at home in midair. We're flying, not walking, on featherless wings. We can hold on to love like invisible strings. There's not a word yet for old friends who just met. Part heaven, part space, or have I found my place? You can just visit, but I plan to stay. I'm going to go back there someday. I'm going to go back there someday. Thank you for joining me for the first episode of Lyrics That Do the Talking with your host, Ryan Kelly Berkowitz. One more thing I will say, if you are singing a tune, wherever you're singing it, or if you're learning it, or if you're a student, do your composer and your lyricist the honor of knowing who they are, right? This is by Paul Williams and Kenneth Ascher. Know who wrote your songs. It's very important. Without writers, there would be no songs to sing. Until next time.